Here's something that America has failed to dismantle. Gun terror keeps getting worse by the day. Last week, 19 children were killed in a school. On Wednesday, another mass shooting was reported. An armed man killed 4 people at a hospital. The authorities are calling it a senseless act of violence. How does the American administration plan to end these senseless acts? They don't seem to have a clue. The president says he's helpless. He's pinning the blame on the Republicans, slamming them for blocking gun reforms. Can the US president do something to change the status quo? Well, he can. Our next report tells you more.
These images are from Tulsa, the second largest city in Oklahoma, the latest victim of America's gun terror. On Wednesday morning, a man armed with a rifle and a handgun entered a hospital campus and opened fire. 4 people were killed, many others injured. He stopped only after he was shot dead.
Officers got into the building very quickly. We believe we have the shooter down. We have multiple injuries on multiple civilians right now.
It is not clear what prompted the killing. The governor of Oklahoma has called it a senseless act of violence and hatred. This comes as America is recovering from another senseless massacre. As the gunman entered the hospital in Tulsa, 640 miles away in Uvalde, Texas, a funeral was being held. A teacher who died in last week's shooting and her husband who died of a heart attack 2 days later were both laid to rest. Tulsa and Uvalde are not isolated incidents. In the last 1 week, there have been 2 more. On Tuesday, a student was shot outside his school in Los Angeles. The same day, a woman was shot at a nail salon in Pittston, Pennsylvania. All these cases have been called the same thing: senseless acts of violence and hatred. No clear motives or intentions, and no clear plan of action to stop them. All that the government is doing is issue statements of condemnation and blame Republicans for blocking gun reforms.
As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? When in God's name we do what we all know in our gut needs to be done?
Biden wants Americans to act. How about some action from the president? He can use his executive powers to bypass the Congress. 1. President Biden can make gun licensing stricter. Right now, rules are lax for arms sales at gun shows and online marketplaces. Americans call it the gun show loophole. The president can tell the Justice Department to fix it. 2. He can set up a new White House office and appoint a coordinator on guns, someone to oversee efforts to curb gun violence. American activists have been asking for this for years. Biden is yet to heed these calls. 3. He can make firearms trace data public. This can provide investigative leads on potential suspects, prevent the flow of illegal guns, prevent potential incidents of gun terror. And number 4, he can enforce existing red flag laws better. These laws can temporarily remove guns from people deemed at high risk of unleashing terror. These were just 4 executive actions. America urgently needs gun control, and more than anything else, it will take political will. It will take a president to stop claiming helplessness and do everything in his power to keep his people safe.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.